Hello everyone and welcome to day 18 of the Proponomics Advent Calendar for 2023, and this is the longer form explainer video for joint ventures, or JVs as we prefer to call them, so JV partners in property. I've done lots and lots of joint ventures whilst building my portfolio, tens of millions of pounds worth, and I've got hopefully some words of wisdom about them. I often get asked about them because I've done so many, and they're multitude and varied. I have a number of joint venture business partners for a whole variety of different reasons, and I often get asked what the good ones look like. And I usually say the worthwhile thing to do is to try and stay away from the bad ones first of all. So I see lots of people enthusiastically and trustingly go into partnership with each other all the time without even doing the basics of due diligence or the underlying, or even thinking through what can each one bring to the table. So it's really, really important to set expectations. I think it's absolutely critical also to understand each other's values and decide whether you want to work together, because in honesty, getting into a joint venture with someone can be as serious as getting married to them, quite frankly, because getting into business with people is a serious endeavour that you need to think very, very hard about before you go ahead and do it. And you really, really should know someone for a long time. I used to have a relatively arbitrary rule that I wouldn't go into business with anyone that I hadn't known for 5 years. But as I said, that is arbitrary, and I've not found that to be that useful, because it might be that within the course even of a week or a month, I spend so much time with someone that I get to know them as well as I might know someone who I've known for 5 years. So that wasn't a particularly good rule, but it's very important to have a robust shareholder agreement in place. So what is the shareholder agreement? It's one of those boring, long documents that covers what happens when things go wrong, which is the cornerstone of all contracts. Ultimately, they only come out when things have gone wrong. So, but it's not just about disputes, it's about covering eventualities. So, of course, we're all mortal. We're all going to pass away at some point. What's going to happen to the company that you get involved in when you or your business partner passes away? Are you going to be using insurances to ensure that your beneficiaries get paid out, or your business partner's beneficiaries get paid out? What does it look like if one of you wants to sell and one of you wants to keep a property? What happens in the event of a dispute? So we often talk about deadlock clauses. If you're talking about a particularly traditional joint venture, two people, 50-50, perhaps you're an investor and you're joint venturing with a builder. That's a very, very common setup that I've seen over the years. Or perhaps you're the builder and you're listening to this. Either way, you need to understand what is both bringing to the party, what are the agreements about, who's putting money in and where is it coming from. If people have got other associated companies, what involvement have they got with the JV? It might be, for example, that they can provide some services at cost price, or cost plus the transparent margin, and that might be fair and reasonable because you're both putting in time, money, risk and effort, let's say. There's no necessary recipe and there's no necessary reason why 50-50 needs to be the place to start. But I've always concentrated on worrying about growing the whole of the pie rather than worrying too much about what slice of the pie I've got. Ultimately, if you own 1% of Apple, you're far, far better off than people who own all but the very biggest private companies in the whole of the world. So you have to put these things into perspective. That also comes down to whether you want to be a shareholder or a director, or both. And there'll be another video on that in a few days' time about shareholding versus managing, or executive directors versus non-executive directors, which is very important. So you need to understand what the JV partner's values, what's your mission together, why are you coming together? Can you both do all of the same things? Are you both multi-skilled at everything? In which case, why are you bothering? Are you just friends from down the pub or something like that? Or is one person bringing the money and one person bringing the time? Is one person bringing the deals and another person bringing the delivery? You can see why these might be a good idea and good reasons to get into JVs. But as I said, it's like anything, go in at haste and repent at leisure, often said in these situations. You do need to think carefully, and you do need to think about how things might dissolve. And really, and this is not just for joint ventures, you should be starting with some kind of end in mind. What is the goal? Is it to deliver a sustainable stream of income? Great. How long is it going to take to do that? How much money do you need to put in? Where are you going to get money from if you need more money in order to grow the business? What happens when something goes wrong? Who's going to be taking a salary or not? When will you be drawing down from this business? Because ultimately, you're going into business in order to make a profit and probably create an income, Not necessarily, because some people are there to protect capital or to create wealth via capital growth, and they might not be looking at income at all from a company. And that can be quite powerful if you're reinvesting everything. In the most successful joint ventures I've been involved in, we have reinvested everything in order to achieve growth so that we can take income further down the line. But that's been our choice. So I hope that's useful on JVs, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.